Get ready for the Squawking Eagles podcast, the show that covers only the Philadelphia Eagles. Think different. Think Squawking Eagles podcast.
And welcome back to the Squawking Eagles podcast. I'm Mike, and I'm joined again by Miguel and Mark. How's it going, guys?
Been a good week.
Quiet, very quiet at the start here. Very quiet at the start.
It's been a somber week for sure.
Yes, we're
a week of reflection.
Right, like I said, we were in uncharted waters. Our first podcast after an Eagles loss. If you're not, don't include the post cast that we did. Yeah, we were coming off a loss on Monday Night Football. The score, it doesn't really lend itself to what the game actually was. The score was 32-21. In retrospect, it really was just a 26-21 victory for the Washington Commanders. That last touchdown was, a gimme, an extra little icing on the cake for them. We're gonna get into that game, and we'll review some of the things that Howie has done this week to hopefully fix the problem on the D line, and we'll preview our Colts Eagles game on Sunday. So, I'll get started because I know you two have a lot to say, and I'll just put it out there. After that game was over, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. I decided to put a reel on Instagram, and it got like 13,000 views and a lot of comments. I wasn't crying about it. I wasn't upset. It was just, I don't like, the Eagles shouldn't have put the game in the referee's hands in the first place. And for that to come down to a few like bad calls is unfortunate for the Eagles. And again, like Quez Watkins hitting a fumble after standing up, that was a fluke. That guy was trying to tackle him. He wasn't trying to get the ball loose. It was just a fluke. He was lucky that even happened. Dallas Goedert. What are the odds of Dallas Goedert getting hurt on the same play that there's a missed face mask call? I don't know, because that play is going to hurt the Eagles for the next 4 weeks, because that's how long Goddard's going to be out for. At least he's on IR. So. And like the interception with A.J. Brown when Jalen Hurts put the ball in A.J. Brown's hands, and he was just taken right out. So it was a lot of things. The Eagles were in that game. They weren't blown out. They were in that game from the beginning, and they were just kept off the field too long. They just really couldn't get it going. Too many third downs they gave up. Too many third down conversions for the Washington Commanders. Hopefully, we'll talk about what Howie's going to do to fix that. So, Miguel, why don't you go ahead and give us what your take is on that game?
Yeah, this game will be forever marked as a Mark jinx game, since he was at that game. He jinxed the undefeated season.
Oh, Mark, yes, that's right. Mark is the problem. He's the jinx game. Yeah.
But. Like you said, Mike, what I saw out there was a team that was incapable of converting a third down on offense and getting off the field on the third down on defense. Just a team that was getting in its way. The more the game went on, I saw the running game becoming an issue, and it had started becoming an issue late in the previous 7 games that we played, or 8 games that we played. So there's 2 things in life that are definite in the NFL. One is the refs are always going to fuck up calls. They're always going to have an impact on the game with bad calls. And 2, Dallas sucks. That's just the 2 inevitables of NFL football. So I completely going to take this game out of the referee's hands. Yes, they missed the horrible face mask call, which I think I agree with most of what the radio heads have been saying this week, is that replay needs to be revamped to be able to challenge a lot of things. And if you're going to review a fumble and there's something in the review that requires a flag, then I think there should be a flag that should be able to come out of that review as well.
Yeah,
but
I like that idea.
back to that game. I mean, we just couldn't get out of our own way. We were in that game late, even with about 2 minutes to go and left in the game. We were still there. Like, we had an opportunity to drive down the field, and it just ended so abruptly that we couldn't do it. But hopefully we'll see we'll talk about how we did and address the situation. But overall, I just think that we didn't lose to the Commanders didn't beat us. We beat ourselves this week.
Yeah, I would agree with you that definitely the Eagles did everything they could to defeat themselves rather than let the Commanders do it to them. Right. So our Jinx man is up. Go for it, Mark.
You ever been like really right and really wrong at the same time?
Yeah.
So you guys might remember last Sunday with a little chat, little powwow prior to the game. And I said, Heineke, dude, he's going to throw a pick. And at first I was like, Slay maybe White, maybe. And I was like, no, you know what? No. Johnson. Gardner Johnson's getting his 6th pick.
He did. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, he did.
Fonte Smith's birthday. Fonte Smith's going to score a touchdown. Yep.
He did. Yeah.
Eagles are going to blow out the Chiefs or blow out the Commanders. Didn't hit that one on the head. That was I used a screw instead of a nail for that comment, and it didn't go too well. That was disappointing. The game overall, I've said the atmosphere itself was fun. It was my daughter's first game. She had a great time singing the fight song those first 2 drives where, we kind of looked like we knew what we were doing. But I noticed something else. And it's crazy how many people I've talked to that didn't see this if you weren't at the game. So many people were like, we played this, we did this, it was just our defense was just bad. Our defense was bad. Our defense was bad. Slay got picked apart. Slay looked like he was just learning what football was. He was off on so many responsibilities. But what's worse is that we have one of the top running backs in the NFL. He ended the first half with 1 carry.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, well, we didn't have time of possession. Yeah, because we turned the ball over because all we did was throw. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry this game. Now, maybe I'm stupid, so I'll ask you two. If you run the ball for 4.5 yards a play, and you only use 3 plays out of your 4, do you get those 10 yards? I'm like, my brain doesn't do math. I don't know if that adds up to over 10 or not. I always thought it did, but I must be wrong for the Eagles coaching staff to think that's a bad idea. Oh, no, we've got a good running back against a real shit defense who currently they're killing us in time of possession. Maybe we should keep the ball a little longer, change it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't run the ball with your good running back. That doesn't make sense. Right. That would only make you better, and we don't want to be better. We don't like winning. Yeah. Okay? We like to make a problem for every game. Right. We need to make every game seem like it's close, and then, oops, this one got a little too close, and we ended up losing. Right. I've said for a few weeks in a row, if you score in every quarter, you win the game. Who scored in every quarter this week? Not us.
Right.
Not us. It's painful to see. Yeah. It's there's no reason for us to lose like this.
I agree with you. I thought it was weird that we started off the game with a handoff to Scott. Like, he started the game. Like, Miles Sanders wasn't even in the first play of the game as far as handoff is concerned. And I really feel like the Eagles came into this game very unprepared. I felt like they were just like, oh, it's the Commanders. They're, below us. We can just go in there and do whatever, and we're going to win. And I don't know. This team was distracted. You saw, Mike, you said in your post game about the Jalen Hurts commercial. Then you had the Kelsey interview. You also had the interview that was with Michael Vick and and
Donovan
McNabb.
McNabb,
Yeah, so I feel like this team could have possibly been distracted in preparing for this week and overlooked the Commanders, and that's another reason why I think. Remember, we had said that this game was, people were talking about it as a
gimme.
Gimme. No,
Yeah.
they were
trap game.
a trap game, right? And I watching that game and looking back on that whole week now is just like maybe this team was overlooking the Commanders and it was a trap game for us.
Yeah, I would say so. They definitely were not focused in on who they were playing because, look, they already beat them with Carson Wentz. Tyler Heinicke is not better than Carson Wentz, right? So, yeah, it should be an easy game. But Tyler Heinicke had a lot to play for. Huh?
Chase Young didn't play.
And Chase Young didn't play. Like they thought they had it in hand, and they were just definitely they were not ready for that game. You know, Mark, to run the ball, like for me, who I love to see just run the ball all the time, like for them to run the ball once in the first half was killing me. It was killing me. I couldn't believe they were allowing the Commanders to command the game and control the game like that. I have never seen anything like that. Now you talked about, Miguel, you said like there was two things, that the Cowboys suck, right?
Right.
Do you think, my brother and I were talking about this, and he said the NFL won't allow the Cowboys to be 3 games back of behind the Giants and the Eagles and be playing on Thanksgiving. They will need that game to be more important than the Cowboys being 3 games back. Do you think the NFL had some sort of say in like, hey, let's set this narrative.
Right.
The Washington Commanders ended the 2020-11-0 Pittsburgh Steelers undefeated season. Let the Commanders ruin the Eagles, and let's keep the Cowboys in the division going. What do you think?
A few things I want to throw in real quick. I meant to say earlier, but I kind of lost audio there. So, for one, the other thing that really killed me, I don't know if you guys saw this. There's multiple plays where we had 10 guys on the field.
Yeah, I was just going to address that right after you were done.
Yeah. I was like, that's another major problem. You can't just give other teams the advantage unless you're the LA Football Club in the national title against the Philadelphia Union. You can't just give a team a one-man advantage and still hope to win the game. That's just out of this world. Another thing I said earlier about making calls and being so right and so wrong at the same time, it hurts. A few weeks ago, we had a little conversation about the future of the Eagles. And I made mention that with Jordan Davis, we're going to have to rely more on linebackers to really come together because of what he did in college is what he's going to do in the NFL. He's going to clog up that line, and you're going to need someone else to be the go-getter. It was so obvious what it's like without him these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, bottom 5 run defense. Bottom 5 run defense.
We are just letting everything in. Granted, we're lining up way too wide. 4 down linemen on a goal line stand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? Are we playing flag football? Like, is this a passing only league? What is happening?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. There was a lot of questionable moments in that game.
Yeah. And then another thing, I wanted to make a comment because I know you mentioned about the refs. So the NHL made a change in how the referees handle games a few years back based on player safety. Where now they review each game. And if you miss calls, you can face fines and suspension. You lose opportunities in playoff games to be a ref. Whereas where they make a lot more money, they get major bonuses for refereeing playoff games. So that in turn has changed the culture of referees in the NHL to be much more efficient, much more precise with their calls, making sure they're getting it right. The NFL has no such thing. They need to.
Yeah,
I think plays like what happened to Goddard, again, I agree. We shouldn't have let it be in the ref's hands. But that was the most, the fact that I'm seeing Cowboys sports radio saying that was a missed call. Teams who hate us are like, bro, the refs blew it right there.
Right.
That's the problem. Those refs need to be fined and suspended from games. If you are not going to, because that's player safety. Like you said, Goddard's on IR now because they failed their job. Because you can't, if you're not going to watch it, you're going to, what are you doing on the field? You don't belong on that field if you're not going to do your job. Same with the NFL players. I don't know if you guys saw like a week ago the Chicago Bears center. There's a play with him just like running to nowhere, doing nothing. He's like looking around like he doesn't know what he's doing. Get off the field. You clearly don't know what you're doing. The refs, the players, you got to follow the same thing. Coach Gannon, you have 10 men on the field. Get off the field. You don't know what you're doing, even if you're 11th man on the field.
Right. Now, granted, if that happens once, 10 guys on the field, okay, I can understand that. Once,
agreed.
But multiple times in one game, he's already on thin ice with Philadelphia Eagles fans, and that they're just going to cling to that until he is gone. Like that's what's going to happen.
But whoever's the play caller on defense also needs to be aware how many players he has on the field. You know what I mean? There's somebody out there with a radio helmet on that needs to be responsible for.
That's TJ Edwards.
Yeah, you're looking in the huddle like, hey, what's going on? We're one guy short.
You got to make that call. And lastly, I will say, for all the hate that Gannon's getting, I'd like to take a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of this weight on Sirianni. I'll be like, oh, well, the offense was fine. No, the offense, wasn't fine. Secondly, you're the head coach. If you see we went into the halftime losing. You need to talk to your D coordinator and make changes. You need to make adjustments with him. You can no longer let it be in his hands. Clearly, that didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I was listening to Anthony Gargano this week, and that comment came up. That question came up. How come Nick Sirianni didn't step in and talk to Gannon? And Anthony Gargano said that doesn't happen. Like you have a defensive coordinator for a reason. You have him, and he's supposed to do the calls, and you're the head coach. You're just supposed to be like kind of game planning and managing the game. He's supposed to have that control. But guess what? If he's supposed to have control, then all these mistakes that are like Bush League mistakes shouldn't be happening. And like you really should be it should be addressed. Hopefully, how he's addressed it now. Like there's memes out there. Like the Eagles have signed these two defensive linemen, and then there's a meme saying, "Oh, how could Jonathan Gannon drop the Ndamukong Suh back into coverage now?" Like that's what he's going to try. He probably will. Like who knows? Like I don't trust this guy now. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that doesn't trust this guy. And there's a lot of people out there that saying that they want this guy gone like tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, yesterday.
It's been proven over the past decade almost that zone defense is not as efficient as it used to be because quarterbacks are better and receivers are better. You can see quarterbacks who are fresh into the league who have started to learn how to read zone defenses. They're not as good against man because they don't, you're lining up going, all right, what player can keep up? Who's actually on this guy? Is there safety over top? They don't know this as well. They have to learn it. You see some of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. They know this, but it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you see a team running really soft zone, you could be a rookie who played in Division II and still have some really easy passes to throw. We ran a real soft zone for way too much of the game and just let players get wide open repeatedly. And Heineke's like, oh, shit, thank you. Because I'm really bad at being quarterback, and you're making my life easy.
Right.
Because you're giving my best players 10 yards of space. I've got to put the ball somewhere in that area. Maybe they'll catch it.
Yeah. Slade was playing off of McLaurin at least 5 yards every play. Pretty much. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, why isn't Slade pressing? Why aren't we trying to get pressure on these receivers?
Big play Slay either makes big plays or he lets up big plays.
Well, I was also thinking like the plays that they pressured Heineke, his ball is flat. It just it kind of floats out there, and it'd be up for grabs. And
he's so bad.
And when they did that, that's what happened, and they did it far less than they should have. And when they started doing it more often, it was too late. The game was already out of hand, and the D line was gassed. You could see the defensive line was just gassed by the end of that game. They were. Gibson would hit the line and then drag them 4 or 5 yards. Like that's what's his name? Antonio Gibson. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor is going to definitely do that. Derrick Henry is definitely going to do that. Barkley is going to do that. Like it's going to get worse. So. For that to get better and to stop that bleeding, Howie went out and got 2 giant men to clog the hole. To replace one guy. The Ndamukong Suh and Lionel Joseph.
Linval.
Now, back to back. What's that?
Linval
Joseph.
Oh, yeah, 2 back-to-back days. They got the Joseph and Sue back-to-back days. So,
did you also see that? Then you had the Sproles come out and be like, "Hey, I'll join the team."
Yeah, Sproles wants to go. He wants to come out of retirement and take.
Well, we have the worst special teams in the NFL right now.
Covey is he's done.
I don't understand.
I've been addressing special teams since week 2. Like,
why haven't we changed?
Right.
Like, he hasn't done anything positive. You can't tell me that there's not at least 1 or 2 other players to give an opportunity to.
Right.
Right. Yeah, like Watkins look. I'm minus this past weekend. I've been happy with his receiver production. Give him the opportunity to be on special teams if this is going to happen. Hell, you guys know how I feel about Devin Allen. The man runs almost 30 fucking miles an hour. I apologize for cursing again. Give him a chance. If he gets the ball, you just let him run.
Yeah.
Not many people in the league are going to catch that man. And I'm an Olympic hurdler. He's not just an Olympic sprinter.
Right.
Come on.
And I know Miguel. You were like you said. The special teams has been a concern, and now it's becoming more of a concern because they need those extra yards on those punts and those kickoffs, and they're just not going to get it. I don't see how they're going to get it with Covey back there.
I don't see it either. I thought we were going to go grab Deshaun Jackson. I really thought that would have been a very quick fix for a special teams issue.
He got hurt already, though.
Yeah, I heard he blew out his hamstring again. That's something that's consistent with somebody that runs as fast as he does. Like, he's able to take the top off. Probably even sitting around anyway. But like as more as that game as that game went on, man, I couldn't help but to think like the Commanders were playing us, and this is not a shot at Mark, but they treated us like a Chip Kelly team. Keep the offense off the field. Let's run the ball, get time of possession, and that was the formula that beat us.
That's how it works. I don't take offense to it at all, because that's exactly how teams beat. That's how Chip Kelly lost his game when he lost in college.
Right.
You look at any game we had against Stanford in those years, and that was Stanford's whole motto was, all right, we got 40 seconds between plays. We're going to use all 40. Mm-hmm. And it worked because, Oregon had that standard of we're going to get the ball, we're going to score in 30 seconds, and no one's going to know what hit them. Yep. Except then our offense is going to sit on the sideline for 10 minutes.
And your defense is going to be gassed.
And now we're doing the same. Now we're seeing the same thing happen here. Mm-hmm. I understand that you've got, Devonta Smith, and I love Smith, and you've got A.J. Brown, and I love Brown. If they're going to go out, they're going to make those plays. That's awesome. Run the ball. My best friend was at the game a year ago where I believe it was the Chiefs they were playing, and the entire stadium, you could hear them on TV, were like, run the ball. And it was almost like someone walked up, smacked Sirianni, and they started running it. And since then, we were like the #1 team in like I have it upstairs. I wrote it down because someone was like, Mark, we ran the ball 43% of the time this game. That's a lot. No, it's not. It's the second least we've ever run the ball. And the only time less this year is when we blew out the Steelers.
Right.
Besides that, we have only run the ball under 50% 2 other times. We run the ball more than any other team, and it wins games. Yeah. There's a reason we were undefeated.
But why? Why get away from it? What?
Do you know their defense against that is, hey, a lot of those calls were RPOs, and Jalen must have saw something that he wanted to throw the ball instead of hand it off. And that seems like the typical answer to that. Why didn't you run the ball more? Oh, we called running plays. There were RPOs, but, Jalen saw something. It's always an excuse with them about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're right. We always have excuses.
Allowed.
But, you look at a lot of them. Like, there wasn't as many RPOs this week. We didn't run nearly as many screens this week. I normally get really annoyed because I feel like we run the screen way too often. We didn't run the screen. We didn't run the ball. Yes, I understand that they had one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL before this weekend. Don't change our formula because the reason our formula works is if we are averaging 4.5 yards a carry, Sirianni, defenses have to adjust to that. It's like when you're playing Derrick Henry or when you're playing last year's version of Jonathan Taylor. You have to start stacking the box. You got to be there for the run. Suddenly you're giving A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith one-on-ones. Then you throw it over the top, and it's easy because A.J. Brown's open all day. But when they're sitting there with 7, 8 guys in the back waiting for it because they know you're throwing it, there's nothing there. You're going to suddenly have Brown blanketed. You're going to have Smith blanketed. and the passes aren't there.
Not
And it's
not
suddenly
only
nothing's going the right way.
not only that, but you also have Boston Scott back there. You're putting a lot of Kenny Gainwell looks out there. Like I feel like almost Howie Roseman went to Sirianni, was like, hey, let's see what the offense looks like without Miles Sanders since we owe him a contract this year. And
Yeah,
kind of
you're
like,
right.
don't play Miles this week because we can probably beat the Commanders without him. But let's see what the offense looks like without him. And look what happened.
You could be right.
That could very well be it. Yeah.
Because each of them had carries in the first quarter, and Sanders only had one. The other each, I think, had two, and it wasn't enough. You know, I mean, they didn't do the same. I mean, I had the stats up here just a second ago too. It was like,
Yeah, Kenny Gainwell got 1 carry for 7 yards. Sanders had 12 for 54.
Yeah,
Boston
I mean,
Scott had
yeah, by
1
the
for
end.
5.
All of his,
They all-
all of his, this is Miles Sanders had all of his carries in that second half, really.
yeah. I mean, he had 1 carry. So actually, they each had 1 carry in the first half, except Hurts, and then Hurts had 2. It's
Yeah.
not like we only ran the ball like 4 times the entire first half, which
Yeah,
doesn't.
they only
work.
ran what 16 plays in the first half. It was like it was,
Yeah, it was minimal. And,
yeah.
time possession. Why? In our last drive in the first half, we ran the ball 1 time, gained 4.5, 5 yards. I watched it. I was right there. I was like, "This is great. Let's keep doing it." And then we went 2 back-to-back passes that went nowhere, and that was 3 and out.
Yeah,
And then to end the game, this really pissed off like the entire stadium, and I'm sure it pissed off a lot of guys, a lot of fans at home, men and women. If you really paid attention to it, the first play of our like second to last drive, okay, where we were down at like our own like was it 10-yard line or something like that, or at the 20, and we ran the ball with Miles Sanders up the middle, like 1 play for like 3-4 yards ish. Then we subbed out our receivers and brought in all 3 of our tight ends. It's a heavy set. We have under 2 minutes left in the game. We have to go 80-some yards or 70-some yards for a touchdown, and we're running a heavy set.
right. Because that tells the defense we're running anyway. We're not passing the
But-
ball.
But that's he's like, oh, we were being tricky because we ran back-to-back pass plays. Look, I like Stoll. Obviously, we love Goddard. I don't remember the name of our third tight end.
It starts with a C, Calabretta or something like that.
You honestly think that like those 3 guys are going to burn a defense for that final touchdown? No. Yeah, they might if you're they're bigger. Maybe they get away from a corner and just get a good reception once. But you didn't do that. You had the heavy package come in. It failed miserably, and we punted the ball away with under 2 minutes left. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
You were literally, to me as a fan, you're coming out and saying, all right, we lost this game.
Yeah.
There's no point even putting our guys out there that can make the play happen because we're not going to win. And you come out on the final play and try to do like a fumble rooski. Again, why? You know that A.J. Brown, the week ago, was catching passes in double coverage, gets fined because of how much he was doing. I mean, he did it to Minkah Fitzpatrick, arguably one of the greatest safeties in the league right now. He made him look like he didn't know how to play safety, even though he was right there. Minkah had a great play on the ball. Brown was just better. You put your players out there.
Right.
Give them the opportunity to make the play they are destined to make. Don't be cheap and silly. We're not that team.
You could say with the Andy Reid's old comments when after an Eagles loss, he goes, "I didn't put my players in the position to win. I didn't put my players in the position to win." And Sirianni really did not put his players in a position to win. Their game plan was trash. Like, and they let for a team to be 8-0 going into this game and to let a Commanders team dictate the game like that is I posted on Instagram, is this a red flag to you after these 2 subpar games against the Texans and the Commanders? Is this a red flag? It's a red flag for me. Like, what's going on? What is what's today's game or Sunday's game going to be for the Eagles?
I think Miguel was right. I think part of this was, let's see how our team is with a few different looks, because you're right. We got a few players on contract years, Sanders being a major one of them. And you guys know I said earlier in the season how I feel about running backs. I don't normally like Madden-wise, and I think it could be the same in the NFL. I don't really believe you have to re-sign running backs. Don't get me wrong. I love Sanders. And clearly Sanders is the best running back we have. But I repeatedly will say there's going to be another one coming out of the draft. I don't want to waste a draft pick on running back this year. If we have to, that's fine. But I'm looking at it clearly saying that this wasn't good. The fact is, like, if you try things out and they're not working, you can't just say, oh, it's just the Commanders. We'll be fine, because it wasn't. Right. You know, moving forward, I mean, I think we might have done something similar with the Texans and we just didn't notice because we won.
Right.
And now I want to go back and rewatch that game footage because now I'm concerned. How are we approaching this? Now, the Colts are also a shit team. So now are we going to try this for a third week?
Right.
Because I know Jonathan Taylor hasn't looked great. But if our D-line plays like the way they did this week last week against the Colts, Jonathan Taylor's going to have a resurgence day. And everyone's like, oh, he's back. We have the saving sun from last year.
Exactly.
And right now, I said, 2 weeks ago? I think I said the first time we were talking about being homers, being, we're the Phillies or Eagles or whatever. And I said the one game left on the schedule I'm concerned about was Tennessee.
Yeah.
I said if Derrick Henry gets hot and the Titans stay good, that's going to be a game. Derrick Henry's looking really good right now.
Yeah,
I'm shocked that's the only game.
He's throwing touchdown passes.
He's doing the Derrick Henry thing of saying, hey, mid-season and on, I'm the best player in fantasy football because I suddenly remember how to play. And it's almost like Coach Vrabel goes, hey, guy, I think Coach Vrabel does the same thing that we did this past week, the first half of every season. All right, guys, let's try something new out. Let's not hand the ball to our best player. Let's try out all the other things. 3 games we're going to lose and go, you know what? Let's hand it to our best player. And then they win 7 games in a row. Oh, no, they lost. They dropped one of the Chiefs. But
they've won 7 games in a row.
Is it 7 games in a row?
Yeah, they've won 7 games in a row.
Damn, yeah. Like, that's who we're going to go up against in 2 weeks. I want to say, or it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks, right? Yeah, 3.
3.
I want to say I'm not concerned about Matty Ice, but now I kind of am.
Well, he's not playing. He's not playing.
He might. At this point, they had him come back.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I missed that.
He started last week.
Yeah, because I don't know if I didn't see whether Erlinger got hurt or if they just said, you know what, screw the money, we're tired of being garbage.
Right.
I don't remember what exactly happened.
Jeff Saturday came in there and he said that he wanted Matt Ryan instead of the whatever that.
Saturday wanted to win. Saturday likes winning.
Right.
You know what? Sometimes I know there's a lot of scoop about him the other week. How do you have him become a coach? Jason Kelce has said honors to Jeff Saturday. Everyone knows Jeff Saturday is one of the greatest centers to ever play the game. He's literally who Jason Kelce learned to play from because he's one of the smallest star centers to ever play the game. He, as a center, and if you listen to him, I mean, you guys, we all love Kelce. If you listen to Kelce, he says straight up, you're there with the quarterback. You need to know what the quarterback's thinking to be a good center. So he sees the game the similar way to how Peyton Manning saw the game because that's who was his quarterback. You don't think Peyton Manning could call a football game. You don't know football.
Well, Jeff Saturday is the only person in the world to sit on his couch, tweet that the Raiders are trash, 2 weeks later come out and beat them.
Yep.
He's the first person ever to be able to do that. So
I wish I could do that. Let me tweet. You know what?
Right. I'll tweet. Come on, I'll go. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm hammering.
He's also the first coach to have a stadium, indoor football team, and have them practice outside this week.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You know what?
He's definitely turning heads. The
Giants are trash. Coach Sirianni, the Giants are trash. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. You need a better defense. I got you. Say the word. I got you. I'll be there, and I'll set things up, and we don't lose again.
And this week, I think the Lions are going to beat the Giants. That's my upset pick of the week.
Upset pick of the week.
That's a sexy look. That could actually be it's crazy to think that would be like a good game to watch because even though the Giants have 2 losses on the season.
2 losses, yeah.
I still they're frauds to me. Just so is Dallas. Dallas is for all the talk about Dallas, and then I understand it's Aaron Rodgers. Okay, that team doesn't look good.
No,
they've looked better though. They've looked better in these last couple weeks.
Yeah, well, apparently so have the Commanders. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, that's another thing that should scare you.
My favorite thing ever was seeing the whole, oh no, we lost and we fell all the way from first to first. Damn.
Yeah,
how will we ever do this?
It's not the fact that we lost and went from first to first. It's that we gave new hope to those Cowboys and Giants fans of winning the division. You know what I mean?
That's my problem.
That's my issue with it.
You know what? You're right, but at the same time, you know what's fun? When you destroy someone's hope and there's tears rolling down their face, it tastes so good.
Oh, man.
And now we can hopefully, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Mailata get together, talk to everyone. Now we can be hungry. Okay, we made a mistake. Suddenly, we went from like the world finally looked at us and, okay, maybe you are the number one team because the Vikings just beat the Bills. Okay,
right.
Maybe you are number one. And then we went, nope. And we lost. And everyone's like, never mind. You guys are frauds. You lost to the Commanders. You're terrible. Okay, now we're back to underdogs. Let's go back to being underdogs and eat everyone.
The Eagles seem to play better that way. They seem to play better that way.
I'm not going to lie. I don't want to look ahead of games, but Christmas Eve, I'm hungry.
You ready for them boys?
Hungry for that game.
I definitely now see at least another 2 more losses on the schedule.
I see one.
Before we really couldn't pick a loss looking at before this game or last week. I see now 2 more losses.
I see one. I see one, maybe 2. Okay, the one to me that's almost a guarantee. Okay, is the Giants' end of the year. I think we wrap it up before that game by beating them already, beating Dallas, and we go, okay, we can rest players, so we lose that game.
Right.
The other one, and I'm saying now this determines. This is all dependent on how does Joseph, Sue, and if Davis is back, like he might be, how do they play against Henry? If Davis is back and he does to Derrick Henry what he did to every other running back when he was playing, then we're fine because there's no way in hell that Tannenhill is going to carry a team against us with no one to throw to.
No, some of his passes on Sunday night were so questionable. Like he threw passes.
Proof that Henry is that team.
Yeah.
I don't think he plays next year. I think they have to move on to I can't remember
Malik Willis.
Yeah, Willis will be that has to be the starting piece of that team. I also going to say right now they draft a receiver. They have to draft a receiver this year. They don't not have anyone out there. And Henry, look, he's looking great now. And I said it last year. I said this is probably his last year of being king. I stand by it. I think he's aging. I think it's taking him longer into the season to get hot. Yeah. I don't think we see Derrick Henry. He'll still be good. Don't get me wrong. But he won't be King Henry the same years forward. Like this is, I think, one of his last top end years. You're going to see him.
Yeah. But also don't sleep on Tennessee's defense. Tennessee has a top 10 defense.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, Dallas had like the best defense. We damn boys defense. We damn boys. Okay. Yeah, you beat little boys and you lose that game. You go ahead. We had a rough game. All right, we had a rough game against the Commanders. My only real concern moving forward, I have seen enough of Sirianni to expect him to make adjustments. I expect that the players on our defense are pissed off enough to make changes, especially Slay, especially that D-line. Fletcher Cox does not like losing. I know this might be his last year here, but he does not like losing. That's not okay. Brandon Graham is not okay with this game. My biggest concern is that if you look, and again, this is me going off my college knowledge, when Alabama struggled, Hurts suddenly tried to play hero ball instead of playing their formula. Oklahoma, he didn't have as much opportunity to play hero ball because he didn't really lose because they had a really good team that year. I am very concerned because he said that this is on him. We cannot let this, I would hope in the next 2 weeks we run very few to no RPOs because I don't think he'll get rid of the ball. I think he's going to do his best to, I don't get me wrong, I want to trust him. The whole NFL, the whole Eagles fandom wants to trust him. He's done very well because we haven't forced him to carry the game for us. Right. He, I think, now feels like he has to, and that's going to lead to some more problems.
Right.
I don't like it.
Now, moving on to like the Eagles, the players themselves, I think they were feeling the whole undefeated team, I guess narrative, and where AJ Brown said, "Finally, I don't want to hear about the 17-0 talk." And Slay was like, "Well, at least it was just this game and not the game we really want to win." Like they talk about you talk about like Slay saying he doesn't really care about that they lost and that this was not. But it is important to win games. Granted, it's important to win games that you're supposed to win. Like they were supposed to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, they were, and that's important.
It's like they feel like they finally have released something, and now hopefully they can come out this week against the Indianapolis Colts, who like they fired Frank Wright. They have Jeff Saturday. They're a team trying to figure out what they are now, and they have nothing to lose. The Colts have nothing to lose, just like the Commanders, and that's what concerns me. Like teams that have nothing to lose playing against a team who has everything. They need everything to win. So, what do you think? What do you think about this week, Miguel?
I agree. This is a must-win game right now. Like, we cannot afford to lose this game and give up the division lead, yet alone just giving up, a conference lead for the first seed. You know what I mean? You saw the Sunday Night Football put their power rankings out there. The Eagles dropped down from first to third. And the Vikings jumped up to first after that game. So there's a lot at stake with this game and going forward. Mark says he only sees I think he said two losses at least.
Maybe two.
I see three, but this one is the one that we really, really need right now. Not only to get the team and the other players back on track, but to put a statement out there to the NFL like, hey, that was a fluke. We made our adjustments. You saw what our front office did in grabbing Sue and Lionel, I forget his last name, Joseph right now, Lindell Joseph. And it's a shame that we had to grab two players to replace one. But, those guys are Pro Bowl players. They'll be in a rotation, so they won't, see a lot of playing time. But they're going to be a big part of what this defense can do to stop the bleeding in the run game. So we really need the other 10 players on that field to really step up and help out in the run game. Those linebackers need to be flying on the field. At this point, I feel like we need to see what Nakobe Dean can offer to help us plug up that running game. Like our linebackers are playing incredible right now, but Nakobe Dean was a specialist in helping shut down the run for that Georgia defense. So, I would like to see a couple of those adjustments be made this week, and also a statement to be made to the NFL like, hey, that was a fluke. This is what we are. This is who we're going to be going forward for the next 8 games. And that's exactly what I need to see this week. Pretty much.
I agree with you. It's time to get Nakobe Dean out of the shrink wrap and put him out there. Let him do what he's been built to do. So
you wanted to test out what it's like without Sanders. What if we test out what it's like without Edwards this week? What if we put Dean there? Let him have his opportunity to shine, to do exactly what he did. Because you know what? Like you said, that's what he did. I said earlier in the year, and that's what he does, is you have someone like Jordan Davis. Now we got a few other guys trying to do that job. Stuff up a couple people, and Dean goes home. Dean smells that ball. He's one. It was like one of those memes where it's like, that's whatever you're looking for, the dog just finds it. That's him with the ball. It does. He's looking the wrong way. It's like a Madden player. I'm going the wrong way. The ball's there, and he's just there. And it's like, bro, it's not. That's not how Madden. That's not how football works. And Dean goes, yes, it is. I smelled it. He's looking that way. It's like, ow, Dean, ow. Right. But let him roll. Let him do Dean things. He might be young, but you know what? If we're going to start seasoning players against bad teams, might as well start with a player who's going to be the future of the team, in my opinion, defensively.
Right.
That's to me, 4 or 5 years from now, that is the defensive captain of this team. Like, I wholeheartedly agree to believe that's what's going to happen. I will say, I think the reason we got 2 players to sub in for one is that, for one, Jordan Davis is 23. Joseph and Sue, both over 30. I can tell you right now, now granted, I'm not in great shape, but I'm definitely not a 23-year-old. It doesn't matter how good a shape, I'm not a 23-year-old. They definitely are going to need to rotate to be able to keep their energy high.
Yeah, those guys are like 34 and 35 or 35 and 36 years old.
You're going to need some breaks. So it's good to have someone to play. Like maybe, hey, Sue plays for the first two downs or so. Hopefully we get some more 3 and outs with these guys in the middle. Yeah. We have Sue in there for the first rotation, and then you have Joseph in for the second rotation, and you keep kind of doing that. Maybe it helps plug up that line, especially because you're still thinking. I mean, I just, granted, I know they're not in their prime, but if you think about what Ndamukong Suh was and what Joseph was, and you're still going to line them up next to Fletcher Cox.
Yeah. Oh, they're still 2 big men. They're
big, nasty men. They're not just men. They're nasty men. I mean, Sue, the only thing I'm hoping is that Sue doesn't say, hey, guys, if you kick someone while they're down, it's fun. Like, don't do that anymore, Sue. We don't do that in Philly.
No, I think he learned his lesson.
I hope so. He's don't get me wrong. I always really liked him, minus the penalties. I love the aggression in play, though. He had that tenacity of, I'm going to get somebody. And I hope to see that still. And the only other thing I can think of is, okay, so now you're taking a Pro Bowl in Linval Joseph, a Pro Bowler in Ndamukong Suh, and a Pro Bowler in Fletcher Cox, and a Pro Bowler in Brandon Graham. Are these D linemen we have? And I know Davis is hurt, but he's smart. You got to know that man is out there every day at practice. Even if he can't participate, he is there watching these men. Because that's another thing I was talking to someone the other week, is that he's still raw. That is not a polished young player. He's just good, but he's raw. A year or two from now, that to me, he is the run stuffer version of Aaron Donald. In the future.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited to see how he's going to be.
You asked Miguel, you were asking how we are with these teams. I will say, I am concerned with Jeff Saturday being coach. I think he's smart, obviously. I think he's got a really good knowledge for the game. I think he knows. I think he's going to come in with a better approach than Frank Reich would have. One thing that makes me feel good is that their win last week was against the Raiders. As terrible as that sounds, it feels a little better. Okay, they beat the Raiders, who can't beat themselves out of a shoebox. Like, I don't know what's happening there. That's still. And the fact McDaniels hasn't been fired yet, I'm still kind of mind blown there. Like, Frank Reich got fired, but McDaniels has a job. Yeah. That team's so much better. The Raiders should have smoked the Colts.
Yeah,
but I honestly think Saturday has an opportunity to be a very good coach in this league. I will say, Jonathan Taylor had one of his best weeks last week. He looked really good last week.
It was the first time he's looked good all year.
I know. Yeah, I remember a few weeks ago I said, if you don't have Lamar Jackson, and now maybe Justin Fields, you don't win when your quarterback's the leading rusher. Yeah. You know the Colts' leading rusher was against the Patriots? Sam Ehlinger. Now, I know Taylor was hurt, but you still should have a running back be your leading rusher.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm looking at it. I have some concern for how Saturday takes an approach. It's going to be different. And I mentioned earlier in the year, I have a slight concern because Michael Pittman, he's not having the best year, but he's on a team that's not having a best year. No. Overall, he's still performing very well. Mm-hmm. He's a big-bodied possession receiver. Most of the receivers that we're going up against in this league are more and more speed guys. I mean, everyone knows speed kills, and that's why look at Miami. You can't argue the speed doesn't kill with those two receivers out there just making everyone look like they don't know how to play football. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a TikTok that I think went over, I think it was this weekend, where apparently, was it Shannon Sharp and someone else saying something how Tyreek Hill's good, but he doesn't have the best hands. And so he went out and he went to the jugs machine, covered his hands in syrup, so they're slippery, still caught the ball, then washed his hands and covered them in melted butter, and still caught the ball. And he's like, I have the best hands. And he got all he's like, come at me.
Wow.
You've got guys out there who are going to be legends when their game ends. I'm not saying that we have to be concerned that Pittman's going to be one of those legends, but I can tell you the whole reason I've been a fan of Pittman is his approach to the game in college. I might have said the story before, but I remember hearing about his first game. I think it was either freshman or sophomore year of USC. He dropped a game-winning pass in the end zone. His whole team talked about how he bawled his eyes out on the way home. Didn't want to be consoled by anyone. He was so mad at himself that after that game, every single practice for the rest of his college career, he made sure he ended every practice with 500 catches on the jugs machine after practice, because he never wanted to fail his team again. And that is a mentality that a lot of players don't have. And he's coming in now with a new coach who's got this excitement, this tenacity, and a team that feels, I think, a little invigorated. Sometimes you have that mid-season change in coaching, and it's like, well, it's not working out. Or maybe it's a little too late. Saturday has the opportunity. I mean, the Colts could still win. They will still win. Could really still win their division. Like they're a good enough team to do so if they coach them right. It's crazy to think about, but it is a possibility.
Now, do the Indianapolis Colts, since they practice outside this week, do they open up the roof in Lucas Oil Stadium and leave and have the elements come in and be cold and let that be part of the game?
I don't know. Will the NFL allow it? They moved the Bills game because of a little bit of snow.
I am so disappointed that we're not going to see this Bills-Browns game. The pictures on that they've been showing online were like it's like amazing. Like why are they denying us? You can't even tell.
You can't even tell.
They're denying us this.
I'm not gonna lie.
Player safety.
No, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't agree. You're right, but I don't like it because what they're doing is they're setting up a culture where in the future all these northern teams aren't going to be allowed to have home games. Like you think Boston, you think New England now without Brady, they're going to suddenly be like, hey, guess what? You can't play there. It's outdoors and you're getting snow. Look, I understand it's a lot of snow. You know, you have a turf field. You can plow the field like they did for us when we played the Bills, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. You can play in a bit of snow. One of the greatest games I've ever watched, one of the greatest games in my memory, is LaShawn McCoy against those Bills. Not because we won. We could have lost. But it was a great game.
Lions.
Oh, I know. Or, the
Lions. It was against the Lions.
Brain, thank you. I'm thinking the Bills because the Bills game.
Right. But let's see. The Bills are even building a brand new stadium, and
outdoors.
it's outdoors. Like, build a dome. So this doesn't happen.
No. Don't build a dome. I agree with them for not building a dome because these are fun games.
I agree.
Look forward to this.
I agree.
The NFL can suck it. Stop changing this stuff.
And I hate it.
I understood moving the Tampa game because hurricanes are a little different, a little more violent. I get it. This is not a violent. Like it's not like, oh no, the wind's going to be 100 miles an hour and people are going to die. No, it's a few feet of snow. I get it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the graph.
6 feet of snow.
It's a little bit. I get it. I don't know if you saw the graph they were showing. They were using players and showing like snow lines on them.
Yeah,
and so originally when it was supposed to be 3 feet, it was like Devin Singletary was like up to like his waist, and now it's like up to here.
Yeah.
And then Josh Allen's like this.
Yeah.
But that'd be a good game. Come on.
Yeah.
It would be.
Like
it would be.
I remember my uncle went to the Packers game years ago when the ball on a punt just stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
It snowed, the field was muddy, and it just stuck and just didn't move.
Yeah.
And that was a great game.
It's a major loss. It is.
Yeah. They're going to play in Detroit. I will say
2 weeks in a row, nonetheless. They're going to play this week and next week in Detroit.
That's true. Did you see? I will say I have to give props to Detroit's social media manager. I don't know if you saw
I saw it.
You saw the tweet?
Yeah.
It was great.
Say it for the listener.
Guys, do it. Say it. Tell us.
All right, so I can't remember exactly off the top of my head though. You have to give me a second.
He said the lock up when you leave.
The emergency numbers are by the door.
Yeah, and don't break any tables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't break tables.
Right. That was great. It was great.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That saves it, but still, it's a game I would have loved to see.
I mean, it's the Browns.
Yeah. The
Browns with Brissett.
Well, the last time the Bills played in a snow-covered game like that was against the Colts, and their quarterback was Jacoby Brissett. So it's like he's bringing the snow. He wants to see it. He wants to have it. But
oh yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll bet you that's actually a lot closer game if it's in Buffalo.
Oh, for sure.
Because then
Yeah.
Josh Allen doesn't have the same, you still have Stephon Diggs, but as we noticed, Stephon Diggs isn't Justin Jefferson. And we've all shown you what Justin Jefferson cannot be if you put the right coverage on him.
Right.
So you put in the snow, you got to trust your running backs. And don't get me wrong, I like Singletary. I'm taking Nick Chubb over Singletary every day of the week.
Yeah.
There's not a day in NFL history I'm going to go, you know what? Give me Singletary. No.
Yeah.
Not over Chubb.
I agree.
I'd probably say Chubb right now is probably over every. The only running back right now I might take over him might be Henry because it's later in the season.
Right.
Early season, Chubb all day. Right now, Henry's finally reached his point where he's like, oh, by the way, guys, I'm king. I'm back. Let me run the ball. But this is a Chubb league right now. Chubba-lub-dub.
Oh man. So let's do. I know I've been trying to avoid this, but we have to make a prediction of this week's game between the Colts and Eagles. Should I go first?
Mm-hmm.
Should I go first? Okay, I'll go first. The Eagles last week against the Commanders, I felt like I was cheated out of a win, and that the Eagles should have won that game. Do I go against the grain and say Eagles are still going to win this game? Do I be a homer, as you say, Miguel? Should I be the homer? I'm going to say no. I'm not going to be the homer. I'm going to say this is going to be a loss because
Colts win.
I say that because they got Sue and Joseph, but that's not enough time for them to figure out the play and what to do. And Jonathan Gannon, I think, can't get out of his way. And we see another Eagles loss back-to-back weeks where the Colts run the game and control the ball, and the Eagles lose. I say 21-17.
Wow.
Go Indy.
Wow. Colts fans come out the closets.
Go ahead, Miguel. How's the Jaguars doing over there?
Jags are pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, are you a Colts fan this week or sticking with the Jags?
Not this week. Not this week. This week I see us bouncing back, like I said, making a statement. I see the Eagles probably pulling this out 35-17. Making a statement. It's gonna be a while for Lindell Joseph and Dominic Nsu to get involved in the game, though their impacts will come later on in the season as we go here, as they learn the offense and get their timing and health up to speed.
Yeah.
But right now I think everybody that was on that field last week has something to prove. Fletcher Cox, I'm done with Fletcher Cox. Like, I loved him when he first came to Philadelphia, but the last two seasons, I can't accept that he's getting paid so much money and has zero to little impact on the game now. You know what I mean? But with that said, that whole defense has something to prove out there today or tomorrow, and I feel like they will respond. Hurts also has a lot to respond to as well, and Miles Sanders has a lot. So I just feel like this team should be in a mentality for redemption for tomorrow, and 35-17 is what I see in the books for us.
All right, guys. So I just talked about Jeff Saturday coming in a little hungry. Okay, that team's a little revamped. They're a little happy. They're a little hype over their Raiders win. They're a little too hype. Okay. Right. Looking over some stats for myself. Okay. As always, Joe Burrow is one of the top players to be sacked. We're not facing this week. Justin Fields actually sacked more. Shock of shocks right now. Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Marcus Mariota, top guys. These guys are the ones who are out there getting sacked the most because their teams are crap. Right below them all is Matt Ryan at 7. Do you know what's different between Matt Ryan and all these other guys who are in the top 10?
He hasn't played every game.
He hasn't started every game.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Hassan Reddick, I think, is a little upset they only got 1 sack last week. I think our defense as a whole was a little upset for the lack of sacks against Heineke. Okay. Yeah. Granted, we should have had another one, but he took a knee because he's a scared little bitch. And then the ref's like, oh my God, he touched him. He touched Brady. And threw a flag.
Time out real quick. Can I touch on that real quick?
I've been trying to avoid it because I know it's I have a lot of anger towards it. So go ahead, go.
How is that a rule to be able to scramble and then just stop in mid-play, take a knee, and that's supposed to be the end of the play? Like, I've never seen that play. Like, it would have been better for him to run behind the referee and say, blow the whistle, like in Little Giants. Like,
the whistle wasn't blown.
Exactly. And he was getting up at the time. Yeah. And then the post-game explanation of, it wasn't that late of a hit, but he did hit the neck and head area, so we had to throw the flag.
No, that was a bad call. All right. I'm just as upset with that. But moving on. Matt Ryan gets sacked a lot, and Matt Ryan is the guy who had a 28-3 lead loss to the Patriots. He lost that to Brady.
Yeah, he's never going to live that down.
Yeah. So clearly the refs aren't on his side. They're going to let him get sacked, hopefully. I think overall, though, I think team's hungry. I think team's angry, team's hungry. Do you know what happened else last week? A.J. Brown had 1 reception the whole game. Miles Sanders had 1 carry the first half. A.J. Brown had 1 reception the whole game. Now, I get it was Devonta's birthday, and it's clear because we were feeding Devonta early and often. Almost, that's another thing I have an issue with, is that we've been scripting pretty obviously who we're going to at the start of games. That's kind of been bugging me. Like, we saw the very first week of the game, A.J. Brown. Everyone's like, oh, what happened to Devonta Smith? The very next week, Devonta Smith. It was like, bro, you're telling everyone what you're doing. But I digress.
That's another story.
A.J. Brown, a little upset this week because he couldn't do anything to change the game if he's not getting the ball. He's going up to Hurts going, guy, I live underneath this open sign right here. It's always on. Just come to my hotel. We've got vacancy. Put the ball here, and it goes home more often than not. And Miles Sanders is going to be like, hey, guys, guess what? If you're going to play me this week, play me. I want more than 54 yards. I want to carry the ball. I want to help the team. We don't have Goddard this week, so more of our screenplays should probably go to the running game. That's where Sanders is going to light people up. So I'm saying this week, we're hungry. I don't want to call a blowout, but you know what? I think we might. I know last week I said 35-13 and 31-13, and it just wasn't. You score every single quarter, you win games. Okay? I'm going to say 27, because we're going to get 2 field goals this week. 27-17. I think A.J. Brown gets a touchdown. I think Sanders gets a touchdown. I think Slay comes back with a pick this week. I think Nakobe Dean gets a sack this week if we play him. Right. Please, for the love of God, play him. And last but not least, I lost audio. Oh, there we go. It came back. Last but not least, I think that Zach Pascal gets a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's home return,
Home return. He's going to be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah, it's Nick Sirianni's home return too, right? It's Nick Sirianni's home return, Pascal's.
Yeah, on the other side, you know what? They got to score 1, and I don't think I want to let it happen to Taylor. Pittman, you can have 1 touchdown against us. That's it. Then they can have another touchdown from some random player. I don't care. We're still going to win. But
Pitt Taylor get one.
Can CJ Gardner-Johnson get another interception this week?
As much as I would love to, I feel like not this week.
I say Slay gets a pick 6 this week.
I think Slay
gets a pick 6 somehow.
I think after last week, you got to pick on Slay. I mean, you got to think, if you're an NFL quarterback and you see someone who's slipping, you have to attack him. You got to see, is there character there? Do they bounce back from a bad game? Now, granted, as an Eagles fan, you got to believe in Slay. He did it with Detroit, and Detroit was miserable. Hopefully he bounces back. But if I'm Matt Ryan, I'm like, all right, well, last week Slay was not big. It was offensively big play Slay. Let's attack him. That's all you got to do. You got to attack the player who's slipping.
Yeah. Quick question. I missed this week. Did they ever clarify A.J. Brown's injury at the beginning of last week's game? Was it a toe or ankle or? Anybody hear? So. I didn't really hear anything after the game or. No.
I think they snipped his manhood and just let it go for a week. They sewed it back on this week. So.
I doubt that.
I think he got a stinger and then he walked it off and got back in. But they never went his way after that, though.
I mean, but they did go back his way a couple times because I remember seeing his ankle after that, and it was all taped up, and I was like, "It's either ankle injury or something with his toe."
No. Well, same thing with Kelsey. He hobbled off too when they taped him up again.
On that first drive.
That first drive.
He was supposed to do the gritty with Hurts because remember on the podcast.
He said he was going to do that.
He was going to do the gritty.
Yeah, he got a little messed up. He got a little hurt. He got a little hurt. One last thing I want to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dear Philadelphia, particularly dear Philadelphia Police Department, stop blocking traffic. You caused way more problems getting to that game than you helped. You blocked 3 different on-ramps to funnel every person imaginable to one entrance.
Yep.
No, there's 70,000 plus people descending on that stadium. You're funneling them down one road and going, I don't know why there's a traffic jam.
Not to mention the other 20 that's
to go up a block.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's probably with the surrounding area, the people that are, because there's a lot of people who were there that just tailgate the whole game.
Like 100,000 people in that area.
100,000 people, which is why I said the other day, we talked about new stadiums. If the NFL, if the Eagles ever build a 100,000 person stadium, this city will fill it. I don't care who we're playing. That you listen to AJ Brown, you listen to Slay. They both said coming here, like, I don't get it. We're playing cupcake teams. We're in preseason, and we are having a sellout crowd. Yeah. Why? Because this is Philly, and we care, and we want to watch you win. So don't lose again, and build a bigger stadium. I like the link, but just add more seats, because you know what? They could be a little cheaper, and I could go to a couple more games. That'd be nice. Yeah. We could do a podcast at a game. That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah. All right, so Miguel, he had his last say. What's your last comment? You got anything?
Go Birds.
I mean, I didn't really have any last comments, but I was going to ask you guys, do you guys have any superstitions as far as when you're watching an Eagles game? I don't know if you have any. I can never watch Eagles game without my Eagles jersey on. Like whoever's jersey I have, I always have to have it on. There was a time period where I felt like every time the night before the Eagles played, if I drank, we would lose. So I would stop drinking on the night before the game. So I think I went through the whole season before the whole Super Bowl run. I did not want to drink or party the day before the game. But I throw it to you guys. You have any superstitions while watching the game?
Go ahead, Mark. You got it?
I got a couple, and they're going to pain me to say. I've never been to an Eagles game that we won.
Ooh.
So
you are the jinx.
So you are the jinx.
I'm a little nervous to go to some game. Granted, the last game I did go to, was not a good season for us. It was I think it was one of the years that it was before. I think it was the year before Wentz, or right after, or one of his early years. We weren't good. I guess it wasn't his early years. Either way, we weren't good that year. We, as a team, did not perform well, but it hurt. And then going last night or on Monday night, that hurt. So at the beginning of the season, playing Detroit, I wore my Ertz jersey. We almost lost. I didn't wear it next week. I wore Sanders every game since. Now that jersey was undefeated, so keep it hot. I'm confused on what to do this week because last week I was at the game, and so that's like a different superstition. So I'm now in a spot. Do I continue to trust Sanders and my Eagles beer that I drink every single week during a game at home, which I also didn't drink because I was at the game? Do I go back to the Sanders jersey and the Eagles beer at home and continue that? Or the Sanders jersey has a loss now. Is it affected by that curse, or do I change it up? Do I have to wear something else? Because I only have a few other jerseys. Yeah. I've got Ertz. I've got Barnett. I don't know why. And I have Wentz. Also don't know why. I need some new jerseys. Because right now, the only one that matters and is good is Sanders. And as you mentioned, I honestly, Barnett's no longer going to be with the team. Wentz isn't with the team. Ertz isn't with the team. We might be losing Sanders this year. Yeah. Now, granted, it's not like I got these jerseys and lost them. I've had these jerseys. I had Wentz. I got Wentz when we won the Super Bowl, not out of my own choice, because Mike could tell you how I felt about Carson Wentz when we first drafted him. So I also never wore an Eagles t-shirt on game day under the jersey. I always wear a bland t-shirt, and I wore one this week because I wasn't sure how cold it was going to be, and if I wanted to take something off, I still wanted to rep the Eagles.
Yeah.
Granted, it was cold as hell, and I kept the jersey on the whole game. But now, like I said, now do I switch up jerseys? Do I go back to Ertz? Do I switch to Barnett? Do I keep Sanders and just don't wear the shirt because I'm at home now? I don't know. But yes, I do have some superstitions.
I would say so. I
also can't for like 90% of the game. Like, I have to be standing during Eagles. I just cannot sit during games.
Got you. First, I'm gonna address it real quick, Mike. First off, let's give a shout out to Zach Ertz, who's lost for the season over there in Arizona.
Yeah, it's a shame.
That's a
Allowed
tough
his knee.
loss.
Yeah, that hurts.
It is.
But question on that Sanders shirt: have you washed it since the loss?
No.
So I would wash it, wash that stink loss off, and then rock out on it.
Because that's my other thing is I wash all my jerseys in the off season of every sport, and then I don't wash them during the season.
Yeah,
because that's how it is. I only wear them on game day. Once in a while, you guys will see me wearing a jersey during the podcast. It's never the jersey. Like, I've never worn Sanders during podcast jersey.
Yeah.
I've had it with me, and I've thrown on Herbert. I think I haven't worn Mariota this year. I've thrown on Wentz. I've worn Ertz on the podcast. I think I've even worn Barnett on the podcast, but not Sanders because that was my game day jersey.
Right.
So
For
maybe
me,
you're right.
for me, I played baseball a lot growing up. I was very superstitious with baseball.
Yeah. Baseball is a highly superstitious sport.
Yes, I was very high.
look at Harper.
Even to this day, I am still very superstitious with when I play. I'm playing old man softball. I'm still
Where do you play
very.
old man softball?
Yeah,
I play old man
why have you
softball.
also-
I play old man softball at Manicore Field Wednesday nights.
It sounds like you need an old man softball team out of a podcast.
Oh well, hey, we need players this year. We're losing a lot of guys.
Well, it's a little cold right now. But
Yeah, well, we're not. We start in April, so we can talk in April.
Okay, that'd be fun.
And so it's a beer league as well. So that's
life.
Nice.
Yeah. So those baseball, softball, I'm very superstitious with that. With football, I won't wear any Eagles gear on game day. I won't. Because sometimes I usually watch.
Colts fan.
That's right. I wear my Colts gear. I don't.
His Carson Wentz Colts jersey.
That's right. That's right. As you guys know, I don't watch the games live when I can record them. Like, Monday Night Football, I couldn't record it, so I had to watch it live. But so usually I'm watching the games recorded.
Wait,
so what?
You
Why?
don't
Why?
what?
I don't watch them live
Why?
because I don't like commercials. So I fast forward through the commercials.
What? That's
Yeah.
not an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
die. Oh
Yeah.
no way.
I record it, so I don't wear any gear, and my phone goes off for the whole day until I start watching the game. I've done that.
Do you like block all social media so you don't know the scores, or do you go in watching this knowing the score?
I go in watching it not knowing anything. My phone goes off for the whole day. The whole day.
My brain doesn't compute.
I'm
Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah,
Well,
I have done that. I've done that for a long time. I've done it for a long time.
I've got the Eagles on the TV, and then right now because of the weather, I've got. You guys have seen my projector. It's in the garage, so I can watch 4 games on there.
Yeah, I watch it all. I watch everything. I watch the game and I watch all the replays during the game. That's what I do. Watch it all at once. I've always done it that way. It's yeah.
How do you feel like going to a game then? That's live.
I'm okay with it live. It's great.
Okay.
It's just because there's no commercials at the game.
You're right. That's wow.
Yeah, I've always done that for as long as I can remember. I've just always recorded it and then watched it later. Ever since I had kids, I've started doing so 10 years I've been doing it that way.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Yeah.
I'm a
Shocker.
nope. Gotta wake up. Gotta watch the game.
Shocker.
That is very shocking.
Yeah. I've had times where like we'll go into a restaurant and they'll have the game on, and I'll catch it, and I'm so pissed. I'm like, you know what? That's what I get. That's what I get for going into a restaurant and then there being a game on. So now I just don't go in. I don't go in anywhere into restaurants where there would be like any kind of TV or anything. So like today. I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to go hiking before the game, and then probably get home around 2:00, and then I'll start watching around then.
This sounds like a Colts fan.
That's what it is. I bleed blue. I bleed blue.
I'm just gonna troll text you now, like, oh my god.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, we gotta start saying. Like,
Oh, no.
You're there getting our messages like while you're watching it. Like, oh, I know what you mean.
No, I save all your messages. I save them and read them when I'm done. When I'm all done.
Oh my god,
That is shocking.
Yeah, I don't know how I entirely like that. Just my brain.
Well, that's what us Colts fans do. Yeah, we're not diehard fans. We're not diehard fans.
Clearly, yeah. Peyton Manning retired. Like we cannot watch live football anymore.
No, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll bet you watch the Manning cast every Monday night.
I do. I can't. I replay it too. I watch it 2 or 3 times. I do a podcast on it. You guys aren't part of it. That's why.
Yeah.
We talk about the whole cast. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe I'll have you on as a guest or something.
Whole podcast with the Mannings.
That's right. Man, this was a good podcast, guys. Go Colts. And
I hope you know. Like
Yeah.
I have beaten Miguel's horse. Bloody.
And guess what? The Colts is actually a horse, so it's going to be even better.
You are labeled a Colts fan, especially if the Eagles win. You are labeled a Colts fan. The rest of it.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Jeff Saturday wannabe over
I'm gonna
there.
run. I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna make
just
like Jonathan Taylor's gonna do today.
I'm gonna find your barber.
Oh.
I'm gonna find your barber and make sure that he makes your hair match up Jeff Saturday.
Jeff Saturday hair.
I'm gonna have a tattoo artist tattoo Saturday across your back.
Nice.
Oh my god.
That's great.
Oh man. Okay, that will do it for us. Enjoy the game. Hopefully it's an Eagles win or Colts win. Maybe we'll see. We'll see a Colts win. Who knows?
No.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Squawking Eagles Podcast. Follow us on YouTube, Squawking Eagles Podcast. Enjoy the game.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
EAGLES.
Fly, Eagles,
you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed
allowed
to say
it. All right, go Colts. Go Colts.
No,
Go Colts.
gross. Don't say that either. Just stop talking.
Go Birds.